What Democrats think about those tax hikes that the Republicans have offered.
I can't get into all the details, but if you look at the public reports, what they're proposing is actually a tax break for folks at the very top compared to current law. In other words, if Congress did nothing, the folks at the very high end of the income scale would actually be paying significantly more in taxes than they are under their proposal. So you got to take a look at it in that context.
But Republicans have offered tax increases. Isn't that progress?
Our view is that you should achieve at least as much with respect to high-income individuals as current law, as if the Congress did nothing, as if there were no joint committee. So I don't think that's progress.
Well, the big problem seems to be that Republicans won't move on revenue, Democrats won't move on entitlements, and every budget expert says that you have to do both. So how do we solve this problem if you're not going to move on both issues? And is it possible to be solved?
Well, it's not true that the Democrats haven't moved on entitlements. We recognize that we have to modernize the Medicare system. We need to reform it in a way that puts an emphasis on the value of care and the quality of care rather than the volume of care. And there are a lot of misaligned incentives in Medicare that need to be fixed. But what we will not agree to is to end the Medicare guarantee, which was the House Republican budget proposal, and said to seniors, you're forced into the private insurance market and you're on your own to eat additional costs.
But Nancy Pelosi said no Medicare cuts.
No, what she said is no cuts in benefits. And we do not want to reduce the benefits that seniors get under Medicare. But there are ways to improve the system that make sure that the incentives are aligned. For example, right now there are a lot of incentives in the Medicare system for overuse.
Do you still see any prospect for a large agreement in the supercommittee? Because all the Washington analysts are bringing down their expectations for anything getting done.
Look, I think every member of the committee recognizes we have a tremendous responsibility and that it would send a very good signal to the country if we were able to get something done. And so that remains our goal. I understand the skepticism. Looking at the history up to today, we're hoping to prove the skeptics wrong. But as we sit here today, I cannot tell you what the final outcome will be.
If the supercommittee doesn't come up with a package of cuts, the rules require that there will be automatic cuts in defense and entitlements called a sequester. But now the supercommittee is having problems. We're hearing some members say this sequester, these automatic cuts, they're too deep, they're going to hurt too much in defense, we should do away with them. So if the supercommittee doesn't come up with a package of deficit reduction, is Congress just going to rewrite the rules and say, well, you know, there shouldn't be any consequences?
And that would be a huge mistake, and it would demonstrate a clear lack of seriousness about the deficit. If you undo the sequester, automatically, according to the accounting, the U.S. deficit will jump by $1.2 trillion. That would be a huge mistake. So people who are talking about undoing the sequester are not serious about tackling the deficit.
Congressman Chris Van Hollen, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
For another take on today's market action, we asked our Facebook friends if they were